Hello everyone. You all know I make a living off the YouTubes, but did you know that for the last 20 years, I've been a police officer in Louisiana? You're probably wondering what in the world I'm talking about. Well, I'm talking about Steven Seagal, baby. Action movie hero, Aikido master, and reserve police officer. That sounds pretty wacky, right? Pretty crazy? Well, what if I told you I am heavily underselling him? This man has been involved in so many goofball activities that I started getting an actual headache trying to come up with a script for this video. I just don't know where to start. So let's start where all good stories begin. The middle. To start off, let's talk about Steven Seagal and martial arts. Steven Seagal claims to be well versed in Aikido, Karate, Judo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and Shito-Ryu. I initially read Shito-Ryu as Ito-Ryu and thought he was skilled with the blade too, but luckily Mr. Seagal has spared the world by only turning his hands into deadly weapons. Just kidding, no one's safe. He knows Kendo too. It seems that the only martial art that Steven Seagal is actually well versed in is Aikido, where he's achieved the rank of 7th Dan black belt, which I think makes him like the president of Aikido or something. I don't know, I'm not really sure how it works. I'm not well versed in martial arts or anything, you know, I haven't extensively studied the blade, but I do know that people don't just fly around like this when they get pushed in the chest. He also claims to have been instructed by the founder of Aikido himself, Morihei Ueshiba, despite the fact that he died in Iwama in the Ibaraki Prefecture of Japan in 1969, which is 5 years before Steven Seagal even began learning Aikido. He did end up living in Japan for a while though when he moved there and got married, supposedly to avoid the draft for the Vietnam War, but that is unconfirmed. My favorite character in the epic of Steven Seagal is probably his first wife, Miyako Fujitani. She herself is a first-degree black belt in Aikido and the daughter of an Aikido master who had moved to LA to teach there. She is also a first-hand witness to when Steven Seagal had received his black belt. According to her, the only reason that he received his black belt was because the judge, who was famous for his laziness, fell asleep during his presentation. Steven Seagal also claims to have worked in the CIA to train agents in Japan, and fought the Yakuza. Both of these claims, however, are heavily refuted by Miyako Fujitani. At this point, it seems like Steven Seagal is just a weeaboo that is also a pathological liar.
I make a living in the movies, but for the past 20 years, I've also been a cop. And along with some of the finest deputies on the force, I serve the people of Jefferson Parish, Louisiana. My name is Steven Seagal. That's right, Steven Seagal, Deputy Sheriff.
He's a police officer. Steven Seagal definitely was a reserve police officer, but what does that entail? It's essentially the same as being a volunteer. You, at home. If you want to be in the same position that Steven Seagal was in during the hit show Lawman, all you would need is a high school diploma or GED, and maybe they might ask you to take a course or two. I'm not just trying to make fun of the position of being a reserve cop, by the way. I'm sure they serve an important role, but Steven Seagal in Lawman makes it seem like he isn't just a reserve police officer. He's more like the protagonist of the police force. Even though he acts like that, he also comes off as so unlikable. Steven Seagal will literally lie and say he has knowledge about the most random stuff you can think of. You can't walk past Steven Seagal without him saying something like, you know, ears were actually invented in order to escape giant sandworms in the desert. In fact, I was taught by the inventor of ears personally. That's why I never miss a mouse squeak. What am I even saying?
The next warrant is for Timothy De La Garza. His warrant is for domestic violence assault against his wife.
It's an aggravated assault 3, so that means he may have a weapon.
Well, that ramps it up a notch.
Definitely.
Needs to be a nice, soft, easy approach until we confirm it is our guy. Okay. Okay, white shirt, dark colored pants.
That's him in the white t-shirt, Joaquin. That's him.
For what I got a warrant for?
Is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
That's you. Yeah.
What I got a warrant for though?
Assault. Aggravated assault.
Did you go to court?
Well, I didn't have a court date because my old lady dropped the charges.
It's not up to her when it's a domestic violence issue. In the state of Arizona,
Really?
the state picks up the charges.
Oh, man.
De La Garza says his wife cleared the claim. We don't make those decisions. We have to take him and let the judge make that determination.
Takes all this kind of vatos to come here for one person. I think you. That's my opinion.
The guy at the end just looked so sad. I feel like some of the cops were at least aware that this was really silly, but just had to play along. I mean, look at Steven Seagal during this scene. All the police officers are dressed as they should be, in their uniforms. Meanwhile, Steven Seagal is over here decked out, just like he's about to fight in the front lines. I know I'm kind of jumping around right now, but bear with me while I list the names of a few of the episodes from the show. Ahem. The Way of the Gun. To Live or Die. Firearms of Fury. Crack War. Blade Master, Sensei and Student. A lot of these include like weapons and drugs, but most of the time the reality is that they just caught some dude with a gun or some drugs in his car. It actually kind of makes me mad seeing them make a spectacle out of just common police work. Look at the episode Blade Master. The description of it starts out with Steven Seagal lets out his inner samurai as he tests out a rare Japanese sword, and then proceeds to mention, oh yeah, there was also a high-speed chase. Who cares about that though when Steven Seagal has a katana? I legitimately don't understand the point of this show. It's clearly not educational. It's more like, watch Steven Seagal do stupid stuff, but also he gets to have a gun and point it at people with minor drug offenses. It kind of irks me because it feels like fiction because of the absurdity of the things Steven Seagal does and says, but it comes at the expense of real police officers handling real and sometimes dangerous situations. One of the first things you see when you look up this show is Steven Seagal, a protector of the vulnerable and the helpless, befriends a rescue pit bull at a local shelter and makes it his mission to save him from being euthanized. Also, the show apparently got cancelled because Steven Seagal urged the police officers to bring a tank with them in one of the episodes. And they did? My original intro for this section was, now let's get into Steven Seagal's bread and butter, but I'm not actually sure if that's accurate considering his affiliation with martial arts. Anyway, Steven Seagal movies are actually surprisingly beloved by certain audiences, and since I haven't actually seen any of the movies, I'm not gonna flat out say that they were bad, but it's not looking hopeful. I watched a few clips for this video, and the main thing I have to say is every line he ever delivers sounds like ASMR. I know I already said this, but I do not know where to start. Let's see. He's best friends with Vladimir Putin. Nah, you probably expected that. He teaches the soldiers in Russia hand-to-hand combat. No, that's just him doing a side job. Oh, he might be a sex offender. This man has his fingers in so many pies it might be the reason he's obese. For Christ's sake, he owned an energy drink called Lightning Bolt, where the flavors were Cherry Charge and Asian Experience. I can only imagine this drink tasted like Mountain Dew Code Red mixed with chlorinated pool water. Need something to go along with your Asian Experience flavored energy drink? How about some blues music where it's nothing but him mumbling the most uninspired lyrics of all time? Not one for blues music? How about you listen to his harrowing tale about being the first person to destroy a nuclear weapon? Not disarm, destroy. Almost done. If there's one lesson we can all learn from Steven Seagal, it's that... yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. His entire career is just one long joke that nobody let him in on. I mean, seriously, the man takes himself way too seriously. Steven Seagal could be one of Hollywood's most beloved goofballs if it weren't for the fact that every story you hear about him just makes him sound completely unpleasant to be around. Honestly, I think after going through everything I could find about this guy, I've started to like him a lot less than I thought I would when I started this video. I mean, I love seeing silly things as much as the next person, but it gets a little sad when you see how far into the delusion some people can fall. It works for Steven Seagal though. The man is friends with the president of a country. Anyway, that's about it for today. There are a lot more videos that talk about Steven Seagal's antics, so I'll link a few of those down in the description for you all to go check out. Have a wonderful day and goodbye!